Ever wondered why some people just seem to simply enjoy their training, but once you start doing what they are doing, it kind of feels like a chore and you quit a few weeks after? I feel you, because I've been there before. Therefore, in this video, I will show you how you can fall in love with your training by giving you 5 actionable steps that you can follow. Welcome back to my channel, my friends. And if you are new here, hi, I'm Elisa, a cognitive science master student who's interested in how challenging yourself can improve your body, but especially your mind. As a beginner athlete, everyone always tells you to pick one lane. Build muscle or lose fat. Improve your running or get strong. But what if you just want to move your body, have fun, and see some progress? As 3-time athletes, I believe that training should add to your life and not take away from it. It should energize us, not drain us. And yet, we often start to follow strict, rigid routines that don't fit our lives or personalities and end up quitting along the way. Ever since I started to create a routine that suits me, so my interests, my personality, my schedule, instead of following programs to the last detail, I have started to train consistently and had fun along the way, so that training now is what creates balance in my life instead of having to tick off yet another to-do off of my list. And all that while still being able to achieve some goals and see some progress. For example, my first ever marathon that I did earlier this year. And I hope that the guidance in this video can help you to fall in love with your training too, to make fitness enjoyable for you so that you can easily stick with it this time around. Therefore, in this video, I would like to share 5 tips on how you can start to fall in love with your training, guided by the insights from science, so that it doesn't feel like a chore anymore. And I promise you, what I share with you in this video is not what you have heard from a million fitness coaches before. My background is in cognitive science, so I like to see things from different perspectives and also focus a lot of my time on the brain, which is the place where actually falling in love with your training starts. So many of the concepts that I'm talking about today are about what happens within our minds. Just before we get into the details, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel if you would like to help build an empowering community so that we can help each other out in our individual goals. It never goes unnoticed. But without further ado, let's get into the video. The first item on my list is to find intrinsic motivation instead of extrinsic motivation. Many of us live already with externally controlled structures, work or school deadlines and other obligations. Training is one of the things that we can choose to do in our free time, so why turn it into another job? Because if we treat training like an obligation or punishment, we kill the motivation that comes from within us, which is intrinsic motivation. Deci and Ryan's self-determination theory says that we are more consistent and feel fulfilled when our behavior is self-driven. This theory and the research around it shows that we are more motivated when our activities support autonomy, so we choose for ourselves. Competence, we feel progress and through that feel like we are capable of the journey. And relatedness, so we feel connected. Plans that ignore these can cause amotivation, burnout, or drop-off. So the key to long-term success is to choose activities that you genuinely want to do and training styles that you like and build from there. You can freely pick things and you are able to build a routine that you really like. And I would not limit yourself there. If you like a few different training styles, so maybe some weightlifting and some yoga, but also a little bit of running, then you can incorporate all these styles in your training to build a routine that makes you feel fulfilled. Your autonomy lies in the freedom to choose and schedule your sessions. If you don't feel confident enough to structure the sessions yourself, you can seek out a coach, or you can find a program online that you really like and that you can kind of alter so that it fits your lifestyle and incorporates these other training styles that you want to add in or something like that. Also, if you're just starting out, you can also look for some workouts that are posted online and see which kind of elements you like and what you think you can incorporate in your routine as well. The rule here is that you are your own boss and you have the freedom to pick and choose what you really want to do. But you need to be careful here because we as humans love to make things efficient and preserve energy. But in order to cover the second point, which is competence, you need to feel progress and therefore you need to work towards progress. So you need to consider that while you are free to choose whatever you want to do in your training and what you want to schedule in order to see the progress that you are looking for, you need to put some challenging elements in there. That could be done through things like progressively overloading or increasing the intensity through maybe increasing the distance on your runs or maybe decreasing the pace on your runs so that over time you can progress and things are a bit challenging, and once the challenging part feels comfortable, you can make it more challenging. What I would like to say with this is you should be honest to yourself and use your freedom wisely so that you are able to make the progress that you want to achieve. And lastly, the third component of the self-determination theory was relatedness. And that means that you feel connected in your journey and you don't feel alone. That could be any sort of social connection. So maybe that means that you do group activities such as signing up for fitness classes or joining a running club. This could also mean to train with your family, with your friends, or with your partner. If you rather like to train alone to be able to focus fully and lock in, online communities like this channel or maybe Strava clubs could be a thing to feel connected and to connect online with like-minded people so that you don't feel alone in your journey, even if your training is done alone. The second thing I called the fun consistency link. When thinking about some of the programs that are presented out there, the routines kind of sometimes seem they are designed to suffer. But it should not be that way, because fun is actually not the enemy of progress. It is the fuel that keeps you consistent. When we enjoy what we are doing, we come back more often, we push a little harder, and we stay with it for longer. Research on optimal motor learning shows that a positive emotional state improves both performance and retention. In other words, having fun makes you perform better. Studies on habit formation even show that enjoyment increases habit stickiness. So don't be too serious about yourself and make your training a little fun. Maybe for you that means trying out new skills, even though you kind of look silly at the beginning. Maybe for you that also means to put on some good tunes and maybe dance in the rest periods between sets or something like that. And maybe by trying out new things, you will find a new thing that sparks a lot of joy for you that you weren't expecting before. If you like fast walking better than running, maybe you start off with that, and then once the fast walking seems to not challenge yourself or not fun anymore and it's a bit boring, you can try to start with running and see whether that sparks joy for you and is more fun. If you like the leg press more than barbell squats, or you feel not confident enough for barbell squats, you can use that machine but vary how you use it, maybe sometimes single-legged, maybe sometimes with a different foot position or something, sometimes explosive or sometimes very slow and controlled, just to create different stimuli for your body. If you love these zone 3 runs that are not as effective for overall training performance, but you like the feeling of being challenged and coming home from that run feeling really, really challenged, then you do that. And from time to time, branch out into other zones and see whether they are more fun than you thought. The whole reason behind your routine is so that you have fun, you stay consistent with it, and you actually like to move your body and you like to keep coming back. If you are not following a very, very niche specific performance goal for something, there is no reason you need to limit yourself with your training, and you are free to branch out and try a few new things. As an example, I sometimes use equipment in the gym to see whether it sparks joy for me or whether there is a new training stimulus that I want to try out. For me, this is what creates fun in my routine. I like to spice things up. I like to try new things, so there is some novelty in my training. The routine has to be fun for me and not for anybody else out there. But let's be clear here. Having fun with your training doesn't mean that you are slacking or taking it easy. You can still chase performance, progressive overload, and real physical change. But by building a plan that feels fun mentally, you'll actually stick with it long enough to see the results that you're working towards. One of the most overlooked parts in training, in my opinion, is your personality. There are so many different research fields where personality plays an important part, but in training, it always feels like people are talking about the one-fits-all approach, or this is the best and only way to do it and to achieve performance. But my best way might not be your best way. For example, I get bored very easily. So when I was training for my marathon with a running program, I very quickly knew that it would get very, very boring for me if I was just doing the repetitive running elements. So I was making sure that with my gym training, I was giving myself the freedom to do lots of different things and to try new things that are for the running specific motions. So like plyometrics and core, and a lot of that was new for me. So I was engaged all the time and my brain had something new to think about. That way, the variation in the training got very fun for me. And right now, because I'm not training with any program at the moment, but I'm programming the sessions myself, I am able to put all the different things that I really like together to follow my goal of improving my endurance performance. But I do that in a hybrid way so that I have the possibility to make my training so multifaceted that I don't get bored in my routine. Don't get me wrong, I have some staple moves in there, I have some staple sessions in there, so I'm covering my endurance-based training, I'm also covering my strength training, but how I schedule the sessions or how I structure the sessions differs from week to week so that I don't get bored and don't feel like a robot doing the same thing over and over again. And research supports this notion and states that people which are high in openness to experience tend to thrive in exploratory and varied environments. So if that sounds like you, a varied routine is probably the best option. But some of you might not like making all these decisions and feel very overwhelmed by having to structure the sessions yourself, to choose which elements to use, to do something new each and every week. And for you, maybe a balanced routine, maybe even attached to specific days of the week, is good for you, that you can repeat each and every week over and over again. And you can still progress by increasing weights or running a faster pace, even with the same sessions each and every week. And especially as a beginner, sometimes a fixed layout for the week is good so that you can kind of start, you get used to the movements, you can get used to the gym environment and everything like that. Sometimes such a routine can help people very much. So the takeaway from this point is to consider you and your training and your personality. As a beginner, it can be helpful to have a plan, either through a purchase program or a coach, just so that you are not too lost in your journey. But you should definitely alter the program or talk to your coach about what your goals really are, what your personality is, what you prefer, or what kind of structures on a personality or character level you dislike very much. And then the program can really suit you and you can really start to enjoy what you are doing. This doesn't mean that you should skip all the interval sessions because you say that you dislike interval sessions. That's not what I'm saying. But it rather means that maybe as a beginner, you are very intimidated in the gym. That means creating a workout that uses a lot of free weights so that you can take the weights to a quiet spot in the gym and train there for yourself. Or maybe that means kind of revolving the whole workout around one spot in the gym, for example, a squat rack, so that you don't have to switch the equipment all the time and search for the machines that you don't know where they are. But that could also mean swapping a zone 2 run for another zone 2 cardio exercise if you get bored from all the running, or you feel like you maybe get injured too quickly when just doing the running motion all the time or something like that. The only thing that is important is that you consider you in your training and in your routine, because it's your journey and it's your training and it should suit you and nobody else. The fourth point is to set up feedback loops, because we are wired to chase progress. You need these feedback loops to fall back on, because even if you like your workouts, you feel like everything is going fine, you really enjoy the routine, you have picked the certain days of the week for the certain workouts that you are doing, and everything is going fine. I can guarantee you, life will throw in that occasional hell day. And it doesn't seem like it, because you have packed your gym bag the night before to take it with you to work, to train after work. Then you forget that bag at home. And then the day at the office is an absolute nightmare. Meetings all day long, deadlines creeping up at you, the cantina is serving lunches that you don't really like. And then on the commute back, you get into that pouring rain. So you come home, feel completely drained, and you skip that session. And that is not the hell day I'm talking about. I'm talking about the day when you get to the gym the next time. Everything feels weird, it's not your normal time, you feel sluggish and weak, the weights feel so much heavier than you remember, and you feel like you have lost all your progress. And that's where the feedback loops are so important, because that's the point where we need to stop, breathe for a second, and think back to where you have started to see that you have not lost all your progress. So in order to enjoy your training, it helps to set up specific feedback loops, and for that, tracking can be a very good option. You could either track your stats and your workouts, maybe the weights you lift, maybe the distances or paces you have run, maybe your heart rate, or whatever metric you want to use. This could also be progress pictures that are always at least 2 weeks apart, or this could also mean having kind of a journal where you fill in how you felt before and after the session or something like that. It's completely up to you what you are looking for in your training, but having these tracked metrics, whatever they might be, can help you on these hell days to look back and see it's not that bad. I have come a long way and I did not lose all that progress just because I skipped this one session. Life is supposed to get in the way and training should add to your life and not take away from it. So in order for you to not get frustrated if you have to skip that session, these feedback loops are very, very helpful. And if you're interested on how you can make yourself feel the progress that you're actually making, I have made a video all about that. So if you like, you can check that out. Research shows that seeing the progress that you're making creates a feedback loop in our brain, and that makes you want to keep coming back. It also goes hand in hand with the competence element in the self-determination theory that we have talked about earlier. And the fifth tip is to embrace flow over force. I recommend everyone to create a plan, of course one that fits your personality, to have that plan as a fallback option so that you don't have to be creative and innovative for your sessions on the spot, especially for days where energy levels are kind of low, so that you know you have XYZ session and you can pick one of these sessions and then do that session on the day. But that doesn't mean that you have to forcefully follow that plan to the last detail, because we need to be flexible in our routine. Some days you might feel on fire, other days not so much. That can depend on other stresses in our life, other time commitments, other obligations, and things that are very draining for our energy levels. For us women, that could also mean where we are in our cycle. While some weeks we feel on fire, some other weeks it feels like we have gone quite a few steps back. But generally for everyone, we know the days where even though we kind of feel a little bit low on energy, we still have the feeling that we can push through. But then we also remember the days where even walking to the office feels like exercise already, and where everything in the day feels kind of really stressful and we are completely drained and feel like we are burning out soon. This is the day where you should maybe swap the session and be flexible, so that instead of doing a high intensity session, you can do some stretching or something else that is very relaxing for you and that is giving you something back for your everyday life. These backup options for low energy days are there to create a flow feeling so that your training routine flows with your energy system in your day-to-day life instead of forcefully going against what your body is feeling at the moment. As research shows, flow states and enjoyment peaks happen when challenge meets skill. So we are capable of designing our routine so that our energy levels are part of that flow system, and that we respect that our body sometimes needs something else than what we wanted originally with the routine that we have created. To wrap it up after these 5 tips that will help you to fall in love with your training, is that we need to remember one specific thing, which is that the goal isn't to train like anybody else. The goal is to train like you. Because if you enjoy the process, you'll keep showing up, and this is where the real transformation happens. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to leave a comment about where you are in your journey, or maybe if you have a question or if you want to say something. It would be so nice if we could start a conversation in the comment section below. And hit that notification bell if you don't want to miss the next episode in this Fitness Flow series, where we are taking everything from this series together and finally create our own training routine. So how to schedule the sessions, how to pick the sessions and everything like that, to be able to create your own plan. So if you don't want to miss that, hit that notification bell. And if you're not sure whether your fitness goals are working for you, check out this video where you can identify your goals guided by science. And with that being said, I'd say stay curious, look after yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.